Kenya Power is light. Light for a better future. A better future for a better Kenya. A better Kenya for me, you, and the generations to come. So join me, Stephanie Mboro,
Yvonne Wambua,
Faith Kuria,
Maureen Gatwiri,
as we take you through the magic that Kenya Power promises.
Kenya Power is a public corporation that is owned 50.1% by the government and 49.9% by private shareholders. It is a monopoly in Kenya and it's based in Nairobi. Its history, it was started in the year 1922 when two utilities, that's Nairobi and Mombasa, joined the East Africa Power Lighting Company. Later on in the year 1954, it was Kenya Power Company was created, and in the year 2011, it was renamed to Kenya Power. Our mission is powering people for better lives, and our vision is providing first-class power that will delight our customers, and our core values are customers first, integrity, passion, one team, and excellence.
Kenya Power. We are the only power and distribution company in Kenya. Yeah. We are the only power and distribution company in Kenya. Kenya Power is also a monopoly such that we don't have any competitors except that we partner with KenGen such that KenGen supplies Kenya Power with the power, yes, then Kenya Power distributes it.
Kenya Power has two major revenue contributors, one being the government. Kenya Power is a monopoly, so it is entitled to subsidies from the government. The second is its power clients. So Kenya Power divides the country into various regions during distribution and transmission of power, with Nairobi having the biggest share of 0.528 and the least being the export of 0.06. And it incurs a cost of transmission of about 30 million shillings.
On to our management team. We are under the worthy captainship of Ben Chumo, who's the CEO and Managing Director. We also have Peter Kenneth, who was the former Speaker of the Parliament of Kenya. Yeah.
Our current share price as of the 10th of February was 12 shillings. Now we move on to the ratios. We will start with the profitability ratios, which are mainly divided into two, the profit margin ratios and the rest, which are the returns. We start off with the return on equity. This basically is a measure of how good the management is able to create revenue from its equity base. As we see, Kenya Power has a relatively high margin, showing that the management of Kenya Power is able to create a lot of revenue from its equity base. We have the return on assets. This measures how good a company's management is able to create its revenue from its assets. From these, Kenya Power's margins are relatively high. So we can say that the management is able to create a lot of revenue from its asset base. So we have the capital employed. This is basically the net income over the capital employed. The higher the margin, the more profitable a company is. Kenya Power is doing very well. Except in the past ratios that I've shown you, there's been a hitch in 2013. There's been a hitch in 2013. Well, that is because in 2013, the finances cost of Kenya Power doubled from what they were in 2012. This really dragged down the company as per the ratios, but the good thing about falling is the capability of you to be able to pick up yourself. In 2014, the company is doing really well and it's able to stabilize from where it was in 2013. The net profit margin, it puts the net profit over as a percentage of its revenue. We can see the same trend in 2013. This was because the net income decreased. That's why there was a decrease in the ratio or in the percentage of the net profit. But in 2014, they picked up the operating profit margin. We can see the same trend. This was caused by in 2013, the revenue or the sales of Kenya Power decreased. Yeah, so this brought a decrease in the ratio Yeah, but in 2014, they were able to pick up and continue. The debt ratio. This basically shows how much a company is dependent on its liabilities to produce revenue for them. Kenya Power, the lower the margin, it shows that Kenya Power has a low margin, showing that it doesn't depend on its liability to much of an extent to help them produce their revenue. The debt equity ratios, it's similar to the debt ratio, but in this we can see that in 2013, there was a slight drop. This drop was brought by the shareholders' equity, which dropped from the year 2012, while there was still an increase in the liabilities of Kenya Power in 2013. This brought a slight drop, but no, there was not. This brought a slight hit, but in 2014 they were okay. So you have the book value per share. The ratios have been going on well from 2012 to 2013 and 2014, showing that the company is doing really well. In the earnings yield, the company has been able to, this is the shareholders' equity plus the liabilities over the number of shares. This shows that the company has been doing really well, and from 2012, it has been increasing stably, which shows a good thing in the company. So we have the earnings per share. In the earnings per share, in 2013, there was a small hitch. This was caused by the income of the company decreasing, which brought a kind of a hitch for them, for their production. So in 2013, the value was lower, but in 2014, they were able to do better. This is the price earnings ratio. So as the company has been doing really well, as their price earnings ratio can show, yeah. So the analysis of the ratios, the profitability ratios are mainly what they show the real profitability of a company. So the margins for the Kenya Power profitability ratios have been relatively high, showing that the company is doing good, and in future we see an increase and better. And we can see that they'll be able to do better in the future. The debt ratios, the lower the margin in the debt ratios, it shows that how good a company is performing. In Kenya Power, the margins they have tried to maintain their margins as low as possible, showing that they do not depend as much on their liabilities to help them produce their revenue for them.
Major problems. We have that Kenya Power mainly depends on hydropower, so that during droughts, Kenya Power turns to emergency diesel plants, which are expensive, increasing the cost of production. On to our next problem. Kenya Power experienced major blackouts in more than half of the country, including Nairobi, because of a transmission line that failed. Solutions. Slovakia, the country, is helping Kenya adopt nuclear power. Nuclear powers, we are talking about 2030, Vision 2030, we might not have as many, we might not even have any blackouts in Kenya. Kenya Power plans to reduce the cost of electricity by 47% in the next 3 years from generating power from cheaper sources, e.g. biogas. We can use biogas plants, which the plants are already underway. Kenya Power plans to overhaul its electricity distribution infrastructure to cut down unplanned outages for large consumers.
So before that, I'd like to give the recommendations on whether to buy, sell, or hold Kenya Power shares. So if you do not have Kenya Power shares, please buy. This is because, I'm saying this because in the year 2015, Kenya Power has registered a 90% increase growth. This is saying that their customers have increased from 435,000 to 844,000 customers. This is something good. When your customer base increases, it shows you that you're going somewhere. Then this has also moved, it's also moving a step forward to their project that by 2017, 70% of Kenyans should be connected to electricity from Kenya Power. As you can see, they are making progress. Then Kenya Power also wishes that by 2020, it should have an universal access of power to all Kenyans in the country. Then they have recently undertaken a project which will ensure that Nairobi streets receive lighting from Kenya Power. So far, since 2015, they have introduced 10,554 street lights in Nairobi. This is a good thing. This ensures that when there are street lights, your businesses can go on as usual. Many activities that the Kenyans in Nairobi want to undertake can go on, and this will minimize on the theft that takes place at night. Yeah, so my recommendation is you should buy the shares, and if you have shares, also hold. Kenya Power has a reliable team. The team is most innovative when it comes to providing for them projects which will steer it or it's growing. So by the year 2030, we'll see that Kenya Power will be somewhere. And it continues increasing its customer base, which is something positive. So on the acknowledgements, I'd like to thank our patron, Mrs. Maura, for always being there and for giving us the opportunity to do this. I'd like to thank Gillian, our mentor, for coming every single Thursday to help us. I'd also like to thank Wangeshi for coming up with this. It's what each and every one of us sees as a good opportunity to improve our lives. I'd like to thank the Valuraha team, and most of all, I'd like to thank God for giving us the opportunity to be here and for giving us the knowledge that we have to undertake such things. Thank you. Now, judges welcome for any questions.
Thank you. A round of appreciation, please, to Precious Plaid. Just as the judges are getting their notes to ask a question, I noticed you really touched on something really great. Are there patrons, teachers who have really been preparing these students for these presentations and we didn't recognize you? My apologies. If you're a teacher from ACL schools, from Alliance, please just stand. Let's appreciate you so much. The mentors, yes, the mentors, please, where are you? Just stand. If you really, really chipped into these presentations, madam, you actually look like. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's give a round of applause, please, to our teachers, mentors, who've really sacrificed and encouraged the students. Thank you. Oh, no. Yes. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Judges? Very well. Okay. Sorry, just one more.
Thank you for the presentation. My question to you would be, what do you think are the key risks or challenges to Kenya Power's profitability going forward? Key risks or challenges to Kenya Power's profitability going forward?
I think the risk that they'll have is, right now they are renovating their power and transmission lines. That could also affect their profitability going up, because as they're trying to produce power, they're also trying to make the transmission lines more efficient, and this could take a long time and could really drag down their profitability. But all in all, in the long run, they should have an increasing profitability, because what they are doing right now is for the sake of the future, so that for the future things will be better and the generations to come will receive better power and hopefully no more blackouts. Yes.
Thank you. To a blackout-free Kenya. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please another round of applause to Precious Plaid.